I thought I'd give a talk today about the many things that have shaken my ignorance over the years in a very positive way. And if I listed them all, it would be endless. But I'm going to pick out a few since this is an EML group. So is everyone here familiar with the person Jim Henson? Jim Henson. So he was the creator of the Muppets, who went on to be the stars of Sesame Street. Is there anyone here who doesn't know about Sesame Street? So it's in its 52nd year, and it's now produced in 70 languages. And it's gone from teaching kids how to count and learn the alphabet to teaching kids about diversity and all kinds of wonderful things, and even ethical conduct. So one of the reasons that I'm still alive, actually, in this moment, is due to Jim Henson, the creator of the Muppets. So I'm going to go back now to 1995. I was teaching school. It was November, and I came down with the usual, sore throat that you get from the kids that pack these mega viruses. Mega. So it was Friday night. I was still feeling well enough to go out for dinner with some friends. And by the time I got back, I thought, well, this is really a sore throat. So then on Saturday, I was really feeling very much worse. And I was able to get in and out of bed, but I thought, wow, this is quite strong. And then by Sunday, now remember, I'm at the peak of my physical prowess. I don't know the Dharma. I'm totally even more ignorant than I am now. And I just thought I was invincible. So by Sunday, I actually could hardly get out of bed. And I thought, wow, this is quite dramatic. And I was getting a little bit alarmed. I thought, I'll just sleep it off. So then my friend that I was living with at the time called me down for lunch. And I went to the top of the stairs because my bedroom was upstairs, and I looked at the staircase. It has about 14 steps that are wooden and very steep. And I thought, I don't know if I can do that. So I went down like kids do, on your bottom, sliding down one step at a time. And when I got to the final step, I couldn't stand up. So I had to crawl over to the table. And then by the time I got to the table, I looked at the soup, and this is all I could do. So this got the attention of my friend, who called my family doctor. And I don't know what was said to the family doctor. It was a Sunday, remember? But within about an hour, the doctor came to our home and looked at me, and he heard my symptoms, and he said, wow, I hope you're not allergic to penicillin. Are you allergic to penicillin? And I said, no. He said, very, very good. And so he gave me this prescription. He told me I had scarlet fever. And so I was really, really sick. And that day, he actually told my friend about Jim Henson, because it was Jim Henson's death 6 years previous. Jim died at age 53 of the same streptococcal group A bacteria that I had. The thing is, Jim, and I would have done the same thing, didn't think he was very sick. And he did go to the doctor. It was a Friday. He was 53 years old. He had just sold his empire for more than $200 million. His life was just roaring ahead with success. He was a creative genius. And the doctor that he went to see that Friday didn't detect pneumonia. That was a Friday. By the time they got him to the hospital on Tuesday, he was so sick that antibiotics couldn't touch what the bacteria was doing to his body. He was in organ shutdown. It was too late. And in less than 5 days, Jim was dead. So I came pretty close. I think had the doctor not come to our home that day, I clearly saw that dying is easy. I didn't know the Dharma. I didn't know, the 9-point death meditation. But I saw, wow, it's easy to die even in my 30s. This is easy. Because I could see by Sunday, I thought, well, I think I'm going down the tube here. And I didn't even have the strength to fight it mentally. I just thought, guess this is it. So that was a very potent lesson that I've not let go of. The next year, so then the doctor told me after that I would feel like I was 80 years old for about 6 months. And I thought, You're just joking. Well, I felt like I was 80 for about a year. And in that recovery time, I managed to get myself to Cataldo for an Aikido workshop, and I thought I'll drive over and visit my friend, Barbara McDaniel, and see her for a little bit of a visit. And when I got there, she literally dragged me to a talk given by Venerable Thupten Chodron. And there was no build-up. I didn't know what to expect. I'd never seen a Western Buddhist nun before. And the topic that night was the kindness of others. And I don't know, maybe it was because of my weakened state, maybe, I don't know, but that talk went in really deep. And trust me, I was done with religion. I was not looking for a new religion. I was done. And that talk just kept percolating in my mind. So obviously it kept percolating because 3 years later I went to a 10-day retreat led by Venerable Children at Cloud Mountain. But before going to that retreat, I thought, well, I should go and get a physical exam. You know, you do these things once a year. So at that visit, my doctor said, have you ever had a mammogram? I said, no. He said, do you want one? I said, okay. So I went for one, and all of a sudden, I go for this mammogram. I didn't know what these were, and then all of these nurses come in, and they're super nice, and they say, well, you know what? We found something that we need to take a look at. I said, oh. They said, yes, we're going to do an ultrasound. So they did an ultrasound, and then in comes the radiologist, who was just beautiful. Her bedside manner was magnificent. And she said, now, don't you worry, dear, but we're going to have to schedule you for a needle biopsy. And so we're going to do that fairly soon. And I said, well, actually, you can't because I'm going to retreat. And she said, oh, when is your retreat? And I said, the day after tomorrow. And so she said, well, can you come here tomorrow morning? So 17 hours later, I'm in for a biopsy. And then I go and fly to Seattle, not knowing the results of this test. Fortunately for me, Venerable Children's senior students were leading Lam Rim meditations in the evening, and for some reason the meditations were out of order. And so the first night was death and impermanence. So believe me, I knew I wouldn't have the results until Wednesday. I had to wait about 6 days, and believe me, that went into my thick, ignorant skull, and I was meditating on that topic a lot, and I'll admit I was terrified. I was totally terrified. I thought, yep, for sure. I've got cancer, I've got breast cancer, it's probably spread right now. And the Nam talk just kept firing. I thought, what am I going to do with the last few weeks of my life? Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. So, and it was that kind of talk. And then closer to the time that I knew I could make the phone call on Wednesday, I thought, well, whatever time I have left, I think I have to make Dharma my priority, but I didn't know what that meant, really. I just thought, this is going to help me the most. It's going to be helping me, release some of my jerkness, which was really a well-cultivated part of my personality. And that's all I knew. So I made the phone call on Wednesday. Fortunately, there's nothing to worry about. And then, of course, complacency seeps back in. I'm telling you, ignorance is just a daunting thing. So then, my life continues. I go to India and Nepal. I get all fired up about the Dharma, but I see how Western monastics are living, and I think, oh, gee, I can't do that. It looks too hard. I come back. And then I was invited to a meeting in 2003 to vision the future of Sravasti Abbey. And I thought, this is a fantastic thing to think about, but who's going to come? So then I didn't think more about it. And I thought, where's the money going to come from, and where are the people going to come from? So then the following year, 2004, I got the hammer blow to the head, which really, really was the hammer blow. So I'll say this quite quickly, but I want to encourage you to find these moments in your life where you've had a shaking to your core, and it shakes you up enough to say, you know what's important? The Dharma is important, and deepening my understanding. So in 2004, I knew that my cousin, a very close cousin, had been dealing with cancer for about 3 years. And I remember the day exactly. I know exactly. I was in my living room, and my cousin called to let me know that she had just met with her medical team, and they had told her that she had anywhere from 3 months to 12 months left to live. Now, my cousin was at her peak. She was 43 years old. She had 2 children, ages 9 and 12, a beautiful husband, in my opinion, a doting mother, an extended family, many friends, a talented musician, Energetically, she was one of the most energetic people that I know. And here she is with this prognosis. So right then and there, the death meditation, the 8 sufferings of human beings were flying in my face with a force that I'd never experienced before. So right there, birth, aging, sickness, and death. Right there. My cousin had just returned a few years earlier from France to raise her children in Canada so that they would have more opportunities. In France, you have to have a bunch of money. They didn't have a backyard. She had all these plans. She was going to take care of her mother until her mother passed away. All these plans. She was going to continue her musical career in Calgary. Many plans. So being separated from what we like, what she had to then face, without the Dharma, I might add, is that she had to separate from her children and her mother and her husband and her extended family, and we'd have to separate from her. And then meeting with what we don't like. My cousin tried everything to stay alive. She thought for a long time mentally it was her fault. And if she would only think something else, she could conquer this. And then the cancer was spreading, and she went for an experimental surgery that took about 12 hours. They replaced a vertebra in her back with a titanium vertebra to give her a few more months. She went through excruciating cancer treatments. She did everything. So not obtaining the things we like, even though we try so hard to get them, and then having this body and mind under the power of afflictions and previously created karma. It was all exploding in front of my face. So again, her illness and her passing really showed the 9-point death meditation. Death is certain. Time of death is uncertain. And that one really got to me because one of my rules of the universe, and if you don't know that you have them, just spend some time at the Abbey. You've got them. And my list is endless. But at the very close top of my list is that children don't die before their parents. They don't. And that one has been just smashed apart repeatedly, especially in the last year and a half, with kids all over the planet becoming orphans because of COVID and millions of other reasons. So there's more opportunities for death than for staying alive. It takes very little effort to die. It is so hard to keep this body going. And our body is so fragile. In my case, way back in 95, it was a little tiny bacteria. In my cousin's case, it was some sort of weirdness with, karma ripening so that the cancer cells do what they do. And not even our body is of help. Well, of course not. It's the one that just, divorces us and heads off, collapses. There's no guarantee. There's no warranty. Our vacuums have warranties. Our body doesn't. So what sustained me at that time and continues to sustain me is that, the little bit of Dharma that I have gives me direction, and seeing Venerable Children and her teachers practice shows me that with their unshakable example in the Buddha's teachings, there's something tangible to hang on to with the triple gem. Everything else around me, there's nothing to hang on to. And so now I'm going to give you some uninvited advice, which we do all the time here, and it's one of my fortes. Uninvited, but 6 of you asked for training last night, so I feel somewhat like I have a chance to do this. And everyone else, you can just plug your ears. So the advice is, build your practice with the Lam Rim teachings. That's going to give you the foundation. That is a solid foundation. Make prayers and aspirations. If you don't think you've found your teacher yet, make prayers and aspirations that you find an authentic spiritual teacher. Keep bodhicitta alive in your heart. And, meditate on death and impermanence daily. And like the first teaching I heard, remember to look for the kindness in everyone because it's there.